Daniel had always considered his friend Mark's mother, Laura, one of the most graceful people he knew. Everyone in their neighborhood admired her confidence, warmth, and sense of humor. Daniel was a grown man with a career and apartment of his own, so compliments between adults never felt unusual, yet something about Laura always made him nervous around her. One Saturday afternoon, Daniel visited Mark's house to help prepare for a family celebration. Laura was arranging decorations while Mark disappeared upstairs looking for missing supplies. When Laura found an old photo album, she smiled and asked Daniel to take a picture of her holding it. Daniel raised his phone and waited for her to pose naturally. "Wait," Laura said, laughing. "I look terrible today. Maybe take another one from this side." Daniel smiled and took several pictures until she finally approved one. She glanced at the screen, then looked toward him with playful curiosity. "Be honest. Do I actually look okay?" Daniel hesitated before answering with a sincere smile and unusual confidence. "You look better than most girls my age," he said. The words escaped before he could reconsider them. Laura became completely silent for a moment, then laughed softly. "That is certainly one way to compliment someone." Daniel immediately felt embarrassed, worried he had crossed an invisible line, but Laura's expression remained amused rather than offended. "I'm sorry," Daniel said quickly. "I didn't mean to make things awkward. I was just being honest." Laura looked at him carefully before shaking her head. "Don't apologize for being kind. I'm simply surprised you said it so confidently." Her smile returned, though Daniel noticed a thoughtful expression behind it that he couldn't quite understand. When Mark finally returned downstairs carrying several boxes, he noticed both Daniel and his mother smiling strangely. "What happened while I was gone?" he asked suspiciously. Laura laughed and answered, "Your friend gave me a surprisingly generous compliment." Mark looked at Daniel before bursting into laughter. "Honestly, Daniel, I should have warned you. My mother remembers compliments forever." The afternoon continued normally, with everyone preparing food and decorations. Yet Daniel remained slightly self-conscious. Laura occasionally caught his eye and smiled, making him wonder whether she was teasing him or genuinely appreciating what he had said. He decided the safest approach was simply behaving respectfully and allowing the moment to become another harmless memory. During the celebration, Daniel noticed how naturally Laura welcomed every guest. She remembered everyone's favorite foods, checked on elderly relatives, and made shy children laugh. Her beauty was certainly noticeable, but her personality impressed him even more. He realized his compliment had not really been about appearance alone. It reflected admiration for someone whose confidence came from within. Later, Laura found Daniel sitting quietly on the back porch. She brought him a glass of lemonade and sat nearby. "You know," she said, "people usually compliment my clothes or hair. Very few people notice anything beyond that." Daniel smiled before answering. "I noticed how everyone seems happier when you're around. That's probably more important." Laura looked genuinely touched. She explained that getting older sometimes made people feel invisible, especially when society constantly celebrated youth. Daniel listened carefully, understanding that his earlier comment had unexpectedly touched something deeper. "You're not invisible," he said. "Anyone paying attention would notice how much warmth you bring into every room you enter." She smiled and thanked him, but then established a gentle boundary. "You're sweet, Daniel, but remember I'm your friend's mother. I don't want compliments turning into something uncomfortable for anyone." Daniel immediately agreed. "Absolutely. I respect you and Mark too much for that." Laura nodded approvingly, appreciating his maturity and willingness to understand her boundaries without argument. Their conversation eventually shifted toward careers, family, and personal dreams. Laura revealed she had recently considered starting her own photography business after years of postponing the idea. Daniel encouraged her enthusiastically, explaining that her eye for detail and ability to make people comfortable would make her excellent behind a camera. Laura smiled, clearly appreciating his encouragement more than appearance-based praise. Over the next few months, Daniel occasionally helped Laura organize photographs for her new project. Their friendship remained completely respectful and centered around creativity. Mark often joined them, turning their meetings into casual gatherings. The original awkward compliment gradually became an inside joke, especially whenever Laura showed everyone a particularly flattering photograph of herself. One evening, Laura showed Daniel a portrait she had taken for her professional portfolio. "Be honest," she asked. "Does this look professional?" Daniel studied the image carefully before smiling. "It looks confident, warm, and authentic. Those qualities matter more than looking perfect." Laura nodded proudly. "See, you've learned how to compliment someone without causing unnecessary trouble." Daniel laughed. "I'm improving." Laura smiled. "You definitely are." Their friendship had become comfortable because both understood where the boundaries were. What initially felt like an awkward moment had evolved into mutual respect, honest conversation, and encouragement. Sometimes the best relationships were not romantic at all. They were built around kindness and emotional maturity. Eventually, Laura launched her photography business, beginning with small family portraits and community events. Daniel helped create her simple website, while Mark handled social media. Within months, word spread throughout the neighborhood about her talent. Laura was proud of the accomplishment, and Daniel felt genuinely happy knowing he had encouraged her when she needed confidence most. At the business's first public exhibition, Laura displayed a collection of portraits celebrating ordinary people. Daniel attended with Mark and watched proudly as visitors admired her work. One photograph captured an elderly couple laughing together, while another showed children playing beneath autumn trees. Laura's talent proved that beauty wasn't simply about appearance. It was about emotion and connection. After the exhibition, Laura thanked Daniel for helping her believe she could start something new. "You probably don't realize how much that conversation mattered," she said. Daniel smiled. "I only told you what I honestly thought." Laura nodded. Sometimes hearing encouragement from someone unexpected is exactly what people need to stop doubting themselves. Mark approached them carrying 3 cups of coffee and joked, "Should I leave you two alone?" Laura laughed immediately. Daniel shook his head. "Your mother is basically my mentor now." Mark smiled, relieved that their friendship had developed into something positive. "Good. Just remember, she's better at photography than either of us." Everyone laughed together, and the moment felt completely natural. Daniel understood that his original compliment had opened a conversation that ultimately became much more meaningful than he expected. He had learned that words could affect people deeply, especially when someone had quietly been struggling with confidence or feeling overlooked by the world around them. Years later, Laura still remembered that Saturday afternoon whenever someone asked how her photography journey began. She always smiled before telling the story about the unexpected compliment that encouraged her to look at herself differently. Daniel remembered it too, but for another reason. It taught him that sincere kindness could change someone's confidence without crossing personal boundaries. The experience also changed Daniel's understanding of compliments. He learned that appreciating someone meant recognizing their character, effort, kindness, and dreams, not simply their appearance. Laura became one of the people who encouraged him professionally, while he continued supporting her creative work. Their friendship remained respectful, warm, and genuinely valuable to everyone involved. Eventually, Mark joked that his mother had become Daniel's unofficial life coach. Laura laughed and denied it, but Daniel admitted she had taught him something important. Confidence didn't always arrive through dramatic achievements. Sometimes it began when another person noticed your strengths and reminded you that they were worth believing in. Looking back, Daniel realized the sentence he had casually spoken that afternoon carried consequences he never expected. It hadn't created a romance or complicated anyone's life. Instead, it started an honest conversation about confidence, aging, ambition, and being seen. Laura's response taught him that respectful words could encourage someone without demanding anything in return. The photograph from that first afternoon eventually became one of Laura's favorite pictures. Not because she thought she looked perfect, but because it captured a moment when she began seeing herself differently. Whenever she looked at it, she remembered Daniel's awkward honesty and smiled, grateful that one simple compliment had encouraged a much bigger dream. Their friendship continued for years, shaped by laughter, creativity, family gatherings, and mutual respect. Daniel never forgot the lesson hidden inside that unusual conversation. A thoughtful compliment should make someone feel valued, not pressured. Laura never forgot it either. Sometimes the right words, spoken sincerely and respectfully, can remind someone how much they truly matter.